tackling four more Marvel Star Wars issues today. We'll start with issue 73, and these are all by Joe Duffy. This is about the gang, as in Luke, Leia, Lando, Chewie, R2-3PO, and the Zeltron Danny going to a planet to look for a random rebel agent who went missing. Why are we not going after Han Solo? And more specifically, why is everyone on board for this one? Why did we have to take the Falcon and everyone else? It doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, I'm sorry. It's just, this is also a theme in the next three issues too. So this book basically boils down to Leia has jealousy issues over Zeltron Danny, and she and Danny go off on a comedic hijinks adventure to get these rebel tapes. That's it. It's terrible. It's really, really bad. Primarily because the humor doesn't work, because Leia wouldn't stoop this low over Luke at this point after she's like, I love Han Solo. And she just did this a few issues ago. Why? She was desperate enough to mess everything up with those Mandalorians to try to get the bounty hunter responsible for where Han's whereabouts are. So why now? Why are we having jealousy issues over Zeltron Danny, who Luke doesn't have any sort of emotions about other than annoyance? And then basically Lando and Chewie has a fight with the monster. That's the whole purpose of him being there. R2-D2 and Lando do nothing except for off-screen work on the Falcon. Luke is just grumpy the whole time, and C-3PO is ignored. That's it. This issue sucks. It's a 2 out of 5. Next, we move on to issues 74 through 76. Still looking for rebels. Missing rebels. Now we go to a water planet, and Luke and Leia get a swim lesson that turns into a perilous adventure, mixed in with Lando, Chewie, and the droids, along with the prince of the planet, go to an Imperial-occupied settlement to try to find a rebel droid that turns out to be a traitor that's working directly for Darth Vader. What did I think of these? Also bad, but not as bad. And here's the problem. You can't just say, oh, we're hunting for Han Solo, and then not hunt for Han Solo anymore. They've done it twice now. They did it at the end of Empire, and basically Lando and Chewie go off looking for Han Solo for 5 issues, and then come back, and it's just business as usual minus Han Solo, and adding Lando with finding a new rebel base and that sort of thing, which a lot of that's fine. I don't mind that, but basically we made a big stink at the end of Michelini's stuff to be like, yeah, we're on the hunt for Han Solo now. We're going to track down these bounty hunters that may know the whereabouts of Boba Fett. And now we're not doing that. It's stupid. It is blatant padding for the sake of padding. And I find it unacceptable. Also, we have Luke getting a swim lesson. And I get the thought process of he doesn't know how to swim because he grew up on Tatooine. We've already established this in both this comic series, when Archie Goodwin was writing this, and also in the Alan Dean Foster novel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, where Luke is an adequate swimmer in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Why does he need a swim lesson? Now you could say, oh, it's a scuba lesson because he's using scuba gear. We've never seen him use that before, but if you followed the comic strips, he already has. And all the stuff I am saying is not oh, this was in the Bantam era. This is stuff that was retconned in the 90s. No, this was stuff that was available at this time. I mean, hell, Archie Goodwin wrote most of this, so it should be readily available for Marvel editorial to read to fact check. But they never did with this series, and this is why this series was never considered canon up until post the prequel era. Post Revenge of the Sith, Troy Denning in particular wanted to make all this see canon, and it was so he could really use like characters like Lamaya, who we haven't even gotten to in this series yet, technically. So like he wanted to do stuff with that. I have no problem with like a lot of the Marvel stuff being see canon, but you have instances like this that don't work. They just don't work. They don't make any sense. Why is Luke running around with the blue lightsaber? I've talked about that. Luke's force powers are incredibly inconsistent. Luke doesn't act the way he should for Jedi. And we're really close to Jedi, and I'm pretty sure he gets a green lightsaber in the next set of issues. So we're already making the transition. I can't consider like a good chunk of this series see canon because it just doesn't make any sense. Because it's the same thing with the TCW series. You can't consider a lot of that see canon because it doesn't make any sense. And they're just tonally inconsistent. I'm regretting liking the Joe Duffy stuff and putting in such high praise on Legends podcast because so far it has underwhelmed me entirely as a seasoned Star Wars reader. These comics are clearly for children. I appreciate that we don't have as much text in these. I appreciate the art in these. I appreciate bringing Vader in and using... Vader is utilized properly, and he is consistent to how Vader should be portrayed. Unlike what Larry Hama did in, what was that? At the beginning of this omnibus. Issue 48, where he's just a mustache twirler again. And, like, Leia has to foil him over and over. It's for the Alderaanian jewels. There is a positive that at least Vader is used properly. We haven't seen Vader in person in a hot minute. I mean, it was like back in, I want to say, it's been about 10 issues since we've seen Vader. And even then, that was pretty much a hologram and then like one panel of him at the end of that comic in person. But yeah, I don't like these. I don't like them. This is a little better. It takes its time slightly. The betrayal kind of comes out of left field that happens in this. And it's not explained really why. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. It's okay stuff for Marvel Star Wars. But I'm currently reading Tales from Jabba's Palace, which is just like infinitely better than this. And so I'm trying not to let that influence a lot of my decisions on these comics, but I have to point that out, that there really was a reason that these were ignored for so long. And I don't know if they really have a place in the expanded universe. I really don't. There are some things that should be pulled from these, sure, like the wheel, the tags. Like, I don't mind taking things out of these, but like these happening verbatim the way they happened, I kind of have a problem with that. It just doesn't really work for me. So anyway, have a nice day.